Today's video is all about Kilimanjaro, and we're looking at the highlights and maybe some tips as well, because I'm joined by my lovely colleagues here, Chloe, Lucy and Tim from the KE office, who have all done Kilimanjaro as well as myself. And I just wanted to go over some highlights and some tips for anybody looking to go out there to improve and the experience of it, because I loved it. It was an amazing trip. It was one of my first KE trips, so I wanted to get a few highlights from you. So maybe Chloe, what was one of your recent highlights?
So I went out and did the northern route just a couple of months ago, and I think one of the highlights, with many, was the fact that on that trip you get a little bit of time, about 3 days kind of in the middle of that trip, where your group is out by themselves, feeling like on the mountain, because you traverse around a kind of slightly different side of the mountain to where everybody else is. You really get this feeling of having Kili to yourself, which is pretty rare. We saw a couple of other groups. And I think one other is the camaraderie that you get with the team. The team out there are absolutely incredible. We have several of our guides have worked with us for kind of over 20 years. That's many ascents of Kilimanjaro. And we also use a lot of the same crew out there as well. So I think my leader was a guy called Onyx, who I think
he's a trainee leader with me.
Yeah,
he carried us up the mountain. He's lovely, Onyx.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they progressed through, so we know them as part of our team.
I think this is the thing that we don't just fly people in for these trips. We do use local teams, and they're great. They do really help make it. And as we know, the famous song of Kilimanjaro, "As You Get Up There," is great. So thank you for that. Lucy, what was one of your highlights of Kilimanjaro?
Oh, well, I did the 7-day Rongai route from the north. So that goes to Mwenzi, which is a beautiful peak to the side of Kilimanjaro, which really was a highlight for me. It's a really beautiful mountain in itself, which I really didn't expect. I wasn't, thinking that there would be another aspect to climbing Kili in that way. And we spent 2 nights there, and we did a beautiful climatization walk along the ridge, and you just got great views out over the plains, and it just was something a little bit different, because obviously climbing Kili is a little bit of a plod straight up, 1 foot in the other, as we all know, nice and slow. So this was a bit of hands-on scrambling and just really getting your footwork going, and a bit of height for acclimatization.
And great views. I remember getting, because I did the same route, getting up to the top of that ridge.
Yeah.
And there's some cloud, but the cloud passed, and there was Kilimanjaro. It's very rare on some routes to actually see Kili.
Yeah.
And that, you don't want to
You're looking across that shoulder, aren't you? And then Gilman's Point over on there.
Yeah, pretty spectacular
really
view.
Beautiful.
So Tim, what was a highlight for you?
Well, like yourself and Lucy, I did the Rongai route on Kili, and of course, being on Kili and climbing Kili was a big highlight. But flying all that way, I think it'd be a shame to miss out on doing safari in Tanzania and visiting Zanzibar, and so they were equal highlights along with Kili. So from Arusha, which is the base of Kili, it's not very far to get into some of the national parks. Got Tarangire and Ngorongoro National Park nearby, and both absolutely full of all the sort of wildlife you could see on any African wildlife documentary, and it's just mind-blowing.
I think we all did the safari extension.
Definitely.
It's well worth doing, because if you're flying all the way out there,
oh gosh,
and one aspect is you spend more time with the local community as well. We saw a lot of tribes, which was really interesting to see.
Even the drive there to the national parks is incredible.
Yeah.
You're really seeing the country, and that's kind of all part of that experience, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you could fly in and then do the mountain, then fly back again. It's nice to spend some time there, and the wildlife was stunning.
Just being able to chill out as well after the climb. You really needed it for us.
No, I didn't.
And after the exertion of Kili and the excitement of safari, Zanzibar is like the perfect way to finish a visit to Tanzania.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you've got the picture perfect postcard beaches, which there are, as you imagine, when you picture the perfect tropical beach is that, but also Zanzibar has a bit of history as well. It was a trading island, a spice island, and it really is full of history. I mean, it is a great way to end a trip like that, and a very short flight from Arusha. So it's,
Mm.
if you've got the time, I'd recommend just a full package: Kili, Safari, and Zanzibar at the end.
Definitely. Bit
It's
of
like
beach
the
beach
ultimate,
action at the
the
end.
ultimate holiday.
That does sound good fun.
Exactly.
Just one last highlight for me was from my highlight was just it's really interesting seeing the vegetation change because you mentioned earlier a thing about
Yeah.
you're in farmland, you're in this farmland at the start and then it goes to woodland and then the trees start getting smaller and dying
Yeah.
off and then you've got the heather kind of coming but the heather's giant heather huge
Yeah.
then that dies off and then you've got this lunar landscape
Yeah.
as you get to the base camp, and then obviously you've got the scree up the top sort of thing.
Yeah.
And because I think one thing we mentioned before, this was that scree running down the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That was such good fun. Another highlight, actually. Yeah.
Because I think that when you
Really
try,
good
From the
day.
summit.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing.
because you go from doing a poly slowly. I can't remember
Yeah.
what it was. I was too high on altitude to remember what it was for fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you then suddenly go, now we get down fast, and you scree run down.
Yeah.
That was good fun.
That was
It's
great.
actually that scree that you come down when you're walking up
Oh.
to the summit during the night is frozen. So
Yeah.
it's actually
Yeah.
very easy to walk up, but
Yeah.
when the sun comes up, well, when you're on the summit, that then starts warming up the frozen scree. So on the way down, the scree is not loose as such. It's actually very easy to walk down. It's not an unpleasant scree.
No, it's good.
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I think powder skiing. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So if there's anybody thinking of going off to Kilimanjaro, or they've booked the trip and they're trying to think, what do I need to take with me? Any little creature comforts to improve their holidays. So do you have any tips? So Chloe, do you have a tip?
Yeah, I think we do say in our info to kind of maybe take energy bars and that kind of thing from home, but I really think that it is really, really worthwhile. The food on the mountain that you get given is incredible. What they can cook there, and you get so much food. However, as well as that, you're still going to be, several hours walking, etc., before you have, your next meal. And actually, sometimes to have something, whether it be an energy bar or a gel, whatever you use at home, whatever you usually eat, I think that's really, it's comforting, but it's also good for energy, and you know that your body's going to be good with it. And yeah, it's nice to have some chocolate or something else going along the way.
As a Candalian, I'd like to plug Kendal Mint Cake.
Well, the guides out there love Kendal Mint Cake. So my other top tip on this is to take some Kendal Mint Cake.
There we go. And dish it out to the guys.
Yeah.
They love it.
Guides, yeah.
Excellent. Lucy, what's your tip?
Well, similar on that, especially that sort of summit day from the base camp. You're up in the dark and you're poly, one foot in front of the other, plodding to the summit, and you just you're through the dark and just need that extra little bit of energy. So it's little treats that you can have on the way to help you get those steps up. But also take a bottle that you can fill and put hot water in at night with a cover, some sort of neoprene cover, and you can put it in your sleeping bag and keep your feet warm.
I think we have the same tip from Everest Base Camp trek.
Yeah.
We talked of same sort of thing. So if you've got it, you may as well do Everest Base Camp after
Absolutely.
this then.
Yeah.
So you got the bottle, so.
Yeah.
But Tim, what's your tip, do you think?
As you said, high up on the mountain, it gets very dry and barren. And with that, the air becomes dry. It's cold as well, being up high. So I would really recommend a buff or something similar, like a face covering you can put over your nose and mouth, just so you can breathe in some warmer air so you don't get that dryness. And it also keeps you warm. Plus, you do find your lips, I found my lips and my nose got quite dry there. So like a lip balm is useful to have, a little pocket lip balm like you'd have for skiing possibly, to put on your lips and the underside of your nose as well to stop it drying out. Because one of the things you get with high altitude is just dry air.
That's reminded me actually, because that was one thing. My skin got really dry, and just having a moisturizer that you could put on quite thick as well, and with the sun, so plenty of sun cream for the summit day. I think that you don't realise the intensity at that altitude.
And you wash your hands a lot as well.
Yeah.
You're always washing your hands,
So yeah, good moisturiser.
On that lovely note, no, thank you guys. That's really useful. Really interested to see some highlights and some tips from that. And again, I hope that that's been useful for you guys. If you have any questions, please do call through to the KE office, and you'll get through to either one of us or somebody else in the team. We have other people within the team and office that have done Kili, and we'd be more than happy to help. So thanks a lot, guys.